I'm sitting here with Bob Weiner. Now, it's really interesting because Bob and I have worked together on a number of things before. I've done a number of radio rows, and it seems that I always run into him. He is a national Democratic strategist, a former Clinton White House senior aide, and he's one of the other people, in addition to me and David Schuster and some of the others at We Act Radio, that goes and takes on the conservatives, whether it's Fox News or CBS, NBC, CNN, anywhere else.
And we are Hill Rats together.
Yeah, right. Because
I worked for Koch, Rangel, Conyers, Pepper. I was Pepper's chief of staff, and you worked for Barr.
And in essence, I work for Conyers because on the Judiciary Committee,
sure,
I used to work behind him all the time.
Yep.
So you have a few more years in Congress than I do, but it's always, I'll tell you, it's always
I used
good
to say I'd have a conflict of interest when I was working with Pepper, that I'd be old someday when I was chief of staff of the House Aging Committee. Now I am. I actually got the letter from Medicare.
But you're not older than Pepper ever was, so there you go.
But, I got the letter from Medicare saying, we're taking your money and you must have Medicare Part B. What's that? Not a mandate?
It's a privilege.
A mandate.
Of course it's a mandate.
It's such nonsense, this argument that the Republicans make on the mandate. And I just think that it's a hopeless situation, though, David, on the court. Given that Claude Pepper told me, that he fought for health care since Harry Truman, and then it went through all the other presidents, and even Nixon was pushing national health care, and then
Teddy Roosevelt,
Bill Clinton, and Hillary did it in the campaign, and now Obama. This has been generations in the making. And to say it's a mandate different from Medicare, Medicaid, the Social Security
Well, let's think about what Medicare is.
It's the same argument.
What is Medicare? What Medicare is it requires everyone, whether they like it or not, to pay towards their own health care. Social Security requires everyone, whether they like it or not, to pay towards their own pensions. But Medicare is even a better example because guess what? It goes to private doctors.
Yeah.
That's where Medicare goes. You're forced to buy health care, and the latest poll I've shown shows that 94% of people on Medicare like Medicare.
Of course,
and I can't think of anything else 94% of Americans agree on.
But then the Republicans have so propagandized it that some of those Medicare people, a chunk of them say, we don't like federal government in our health care. They don't understand what they got. But here's the point, that a lot of people are saying why the court should support the bill. There's all kinds of arguments on the Commerce Clause and precedent and Social Security and Medicare.
And the tax clause, the General Welfare Clause, necessary and proper clause.
But you got a conservative bloc. You've got Roberts and Alito and Scalia, Thomas, and
Kennedy's the question mark.
But Thomas is hopeless.
Thomas is hopeless.
His wife is an ambassador to the Tea Party movement, and they took money. And the court
Thomas is absolutely hopeless.
The court won't even enforce their own judicial ethics that say that you can't take money from opposition people and vote on a case. They won't even enforce that. So you got the conservative bloc that I think is hopeless. I think you got a 5-4 here, and I think the 5-4 is going to oppose the mandate in the bill. And I think the best case that we can get is to at least support what the Congress has been allowed to do since time immemorial in the Republic, which is the specific provisions of the bill, what they call severability. Have the specific provisions: children's care through 26, cheaper and free drugs for seniors, pre-existing conditions covered, no lifetime caps,
but Bob,
not being thrown off if sick, and free prevention. I think that they can support that, and I think they might well support severability and support that part of the bill.
Here's the problem, Bob. As you and I both know, in every state that has tried this and has not had a mandate, whether it's Maine or Kentucky or New Jersey, there's several states that have tried it, their costs have gone through the roof. They've had premiums increase 300%. Ironically, given his standing as the front runner in the Republican nomination, the only state where this has worked, frankly, is Massachusetts, where they have an individual mandate because it keeps costs down.
That's correct.
It may be severable in a constitutional legal fashion, but politically, if you sever the individual mandate, it kills the bill because costs skyrocket, and the whole point of this is to keep health care costs down.
Well, when you say costs skyrocket, I want you to tell me how those insurance companies in those states are losing money. They are not. They are making hundreds
I didn't say they're losing money.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. And so
wrong word. Excuse me, premium skyrocket. I should have said costs. Premium skyrocket.
But now, under the bill, the premiums do have the power of oversight, and in fact...
Well, that's true.
And that's correct. And here's the best part, that the bill says that 85% 85% of the premiums have to go to the people as benefits.
Right.
That's in the bill.
80 or 85%, depending on the
so
size
that's
of the company.
in the bill. And the court will likely say that's for Congress to determine, just like they do for every other specific benefit that Congress is allowed to mandate for people under general welfare and all of that. So it may well be. I don't have sympathy for the insurance companies saying we'll lose money if the mandate isn't allowed.
I don't have sympathy
they're just
for
trying
them.
to have it both ways. And the fact that they are buying into the Congress.
So you think even if they strike down the individual mandate, that because of the provisions regulating the exchanges, regulating the profit for insurance companies, you could still
and the
cover
85% provision.
Right, you could still cover everyone with pre-existing conditions, even without the mandate?
Absolutely. And the insurance companies will have to whine and beg and scream, and then it'll be like the doc fix.
So you actually don't think this would kill the bill, even if they declare it unconstitutional?
Howard Dean said that the mandate is only 4% of the bill. He said that, and he's on record saying that.
4% in terms of pages of the bill, or 4%
people covered under the bill? The mandate is only 4%.
Well, now wait a minute. 83% have health care through their insurance companies, through their employers.
Specific provisions apply to everybody else.
But if 83% are covered through their employer, it doesn't affect 5/6 of Americans anyway. So we're only talking about...
The specific provisions covered have to be covered through all the provisions of the bill. All of those specific provisions have to be provided. That's what the severability would require.
I understand, but what I'm saying is if you have a pre-existing condition or whomever you are, if you're currently employed and your employer currently provides health care or your spouse is covered, that's...
You got it already. That's been Obama's point from the beginning.
Well, right. That's 5/6 of Americans anyway.
But the Republicans are trying to have it both ways. They're trying to say, if you strike down this bill, we'll replace it, and we want to repeal it.
They haven't even given an example. They don't have anything.
They argued.
Of course they don't mean it.
From the beginning, Weiner was saying, I don't want the pre-existing conditions provision, the most non-controversial one out there,
right.
And that you can't be thrown from insurance if you get sick. That's kind of the point of insurance, and yet they throw you off. Those provisions.
Can you imagine if I had fire insurance?
Have tried to block
I could keep my fire insurance as long as I didn't have a fire.
That's right.
But then I lose my insurance. I mean that's a joke.
So it is a crock for them to say we'll replace it with something else. So just let's start all over again.
But nobody believes
it took generations to get to this point.
Here's the thing, Bob.
I don't mind amendments to improve the bill, but not to kill the bill.
Nobody in their right mind, including the most crazy right-wing person, actually believes the Republicans have a bill of their own. They don't. They never did. They never did. They had every opportunity to put it forward. They have no ideas on their own.
They finally had some 2-page policy paper that they offered, and that was it. It was nonsense.
Right. They have no idea. But they have succeeded, I think, unfortunately, in personalizing this thing. They call it Obamacare.
That's right. They
and they do that because if you go through the individual provisions of the bill, covering kids to their 26, keeping profits down to 15 or 20%, pre-existing conditions, exchanges, all the stuff, if you do it individually, polls show 65, 70% of Americans support each part of the bill.
That. These polls are a crock.
But when you say Obamacare, and when you talk about
or mandate or big government.
Or the government controlling health care.
Socialized medicine, like Medicare?
Right. Oh. People don't think of Medicare.
Right.
They think of all the things the government think of the bad time they have the DMV, and suddenly they're scared, they're nervous, and I gotta say they've done a pretty good job politically that we haven't done so well on our
George Clooney
side.
Was on the cable net saying that the Democrats have a horrible message machine and the Republicans have an amazing one, and they're winning on that. It is amazing to me.
What should we have done? What could we have done differently? What can we still do differently?
We have to tick off the provisions. I was on Fox a few months ago ticking off the provisions that you just laid out.
They'll interrupt you after 20 seconds.
Not only did they interrupt me, but then Jon Stewart picked up on it and said, Weiner, what part of we don't want our viewers to know what's in the bill don't you understand? He made that the joke. So you can go to my website, weinerpublic.com, WEINER public.com, and click on it. I got the Jon Stewart picture with me right on that's what you see first on my website. And that's the whole point. The Republicans try to call it a job killer bill, socialism, all these things, until you realize
that calling it Obamacare.
That it's through the private sector. That was the compromise, that it has 160 amendments that we gave the Republicans of tax breaks for business. Any time in the past, that would have gotten 60 to 90 Republican votes, but now since Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House, it's so volatile that you get 0 Republican votes. It's outrageous what this government has turned into, but Obama, we worked through it regardless, and by no Republican votes, we were able to pass something that we've worked on for generations. The Supreme Court will be outrageous if they totally throw it out. Let's talk about Supreme Court,
because I was just arguing with Neera Tanden, the president of the Center for American Progress.
Right.
And we both agreed, you agree as well, that constitutionally, if you base it on prior law, if you base it on the language of the Constitution,
on Social Security, Medicare, Civil Rights Act, on the wheat bill,
Let's go through it real quick. First of all, there's 4 separate provisions in Article 1, Section 8.
Right.
The tax clause, provide for the general welfare,
exactly.
the regulation of commerce.
They have every reason to support the bill
clause.
Constitutionality.
There's Social Security. There's Medicare.
Right.
There's the wheat farmer in Kansas who.
And by the way, the tax thing, which the administration blew and first said it wasn't. It wasn't. They don't know what they're doing on the tax thing. To me, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, it is a duck.
There's actually a lot of Supreme Court precedent that says we don't care whether you call it a tax or a fine or a penalty. We don't look at what you call it. We look at the actual way it affects people.
It's a tax.
Exactly. And so, as I pointed out several times, they tax people who don't have homes.
That's another
because
precedent.
they give a tax deduction for people who have mortgages.
So they have every reason. The problem is I moderated a forum.
So the heart of the question is not whether it's constitutional, not whether it's legal, not whether it should be upheld. Under all prior law, jurisdiction, statutes, it will be. The question is whether 5 justices of the Supreme Court respect the Constitution enough, respect American law enough to uphold it, or whether they're going to put their crass political views ahead of the entire American structure system of government. And I have to tell you, prior to 2000, I didn't think that could happen in America. But Bush v. Gore woke me up.
And then Citizens United.
They both opened my eyes to the idea that, 5 justices might well put their political views ahead of the entire structure of law in the United States. And my question to you, it's the question I raised with Neera Tanden, is will these 5 justices, including maybe not Justice Kennedy, I want to talk about the other 4 and even him, are they going to throw the Constitution out and strike down this bill?
Well, here's what you want to say. I hope this is not a case where rich guys in robes with federal health insurance themselves have no clue about poor and average people who need and many wouldn't have adequate health insurance without the bill, that it took generations for Congress to pass this bill. I hope that's not the case. But when I moderated a forum at the National Press Club with a debate between Cuccinelli, the Attorney General of Virginia, and Martha Coakley, the Attorney General of Massachusetts, on the constitutionality of the health bill, Cuccinelli, who was the first one to launch the suit against the bill, conceded that the justices will bring in their political worldviews of their appointers into the case.
They all said they wouldn't.
And that I hope that that's not the case, but I hope it isn't. So you've got the conservative bloc. You've got Roberts, Alito, Scalia, Thomas, and Kennedy. And even Kennedy. Jeff Toobin from CNN said the court is more polarized than it's been in easily a generation. We are looking forward toward years of 5-4 rulings. So I think that that's what you've got is a 5-4 ruling here against
Kennedy's going to join
against the mandate, but I think you're going to have the provisions, severability, all the specific provisions supported.
So you think it'll actually still withstand the bill? As you say, 96% of it will withstand even striking down the
That's my best case scenario.
All right. I hope you're wrong. You hope you're wrong, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Bob Weiner,
great being with you.
Thanks.